We've also got our speed sensor hooked up, so that's going to work also, and water temperature, but I don't know where to find that right now, but at least we know we're getting sensor input, so that's good. Data is working. So now we can get back to our primary objective here, which from the start has been to hook up this baby. So now we can get back to installing our Doppler radar. So I'm going to take it out of the package, and basically we flip this over. This is our mounts right here, these 4, and these are that's our power wire. This is our data cable. So we're going to open that up. Data cable is going to plug on there, power on there, and 4 bolts. Now the only problem I've noticed is that the bolts that came with the device are very long, because they don't know if you're going to have to go because they don't know if you have to go through a thick platform mount or anything like that. But our mount is actually relatively thin. It's only stainless steel, one piece of stainless steel. So in threading these all the way down, we find that they bottom out about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the bolt itself. So I'm going to get a magic marker, and we're going to mark that, and then we're going to trim all these down so that with the washers and everything, the bolt will actually tighten down when we put it up on the mount up on the roof. For that, we're going to go to our trusty Dremel tool, and if I haven't said it before, I'll say it again. If you don't have one of these, get 2. They're very worthwhile. I've got 3 on board now, because you never know if one's going to break, you're going to damage it or anything like that, but the chances are, if you got something on the boat that you can't fix with anything else, that's where the Dremel tool comes in, and usually it shines very well. But we're going to use that for our simple bolt cutting project here right now, and then we can carry the device up onto the roof and start looking to mount it. So,
Great.
I'll be back. Okay, so I'm just marking the bolt so we know what the depth is of the mounting holes. And then when I take this all the way out, we know that that is our maximum depth right there. So basically 1 inch. So we're going to trim this bolt down to about 1 inch, and that will leave plenty of room for the washers and for the stainless steel plate that will be mounted on up top. So in essence, we're going to take off about 1/2 inch.
Condenado.
Yep, that's 1 down. I want to check the length, so we put on our washer. Oops. And our lock washer. And just make sure that it doesn't bottom out. Okay, perfect. So that is our length. Alright, that's 4. We got 4 bolts ready to go. So first thing we're going to do is get some anti-seize compound, because that looks like brass or bronze or something, and these are stainless steel, and there's probably going to get salt or salt air in there at some point. So even though they got lock washers, they'll stay in without unthreading, but I'm going to put some kind of anti-seize in there just so that they don't seize up over time in case we ever have to remove it for whatever reason. And that's it. For that, we go to our wires. So we have, okay, so this one's our 15-meter power cable. We gotta line up the tangs. Okay, that push in, twist, and lock. Okay, so that's one. And 15-meter data cable. So this is the same connector as the RayNet plugs that we've been installing through the rest of the boat. And there's a RayNet router now that is installed in the aft cabin, ready to hook these all up into. So one end of this goes to the radar, obviously, the other end comes down into the hull and hooks into our router switch. Okay. Right, there we go. Just like so, lock them in through the strain relief. And we have two cables ready to go. Alright. Now, we just have to get it up to the roof without dropping it in the ocean. Next trick.
That things aren't going my way, 'cause that would be boring. Spend my last cent on cheese and champagne. What a wonderful morning. Never mind, she declined to the first date. It was only on my birthday. Never mind all the lines on the highway. Give me time to reflect a bit, 'cause I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning.
Okay. That's it. Okay, we are in business. And you see what I've done here with the wire is just run a loop of it up and around the pivot point, and that is so that when this turns, obviously there's flexibility in the wire, because you can't just run the wire straight across to here or there would be tension. So that gives lots of room for the wire to bend, as you can see. And it's just there with some wire ties, and that keeps everything free to move. And now the only thing left is to take these two wires and run them down between the panels and into the radar arch. And then from the radar arch, we take them right across the top, down the side of the boat, and into where they're all going to be wired in. So, perfect. But while I'm up here, I think I'm going to get the mop, and as you can see, there's a little dirt on the solar panels. They haven't been cleaned in a while, so might as well take the opportunity while I'm here, right? Yes, please. Right on cue.
Get better from here, but sometimes I wonder, I might have met the love of my life, but I lost a number. Never mind, she declined to the first date. I went to Vegas with a roommate. Never mind all the lines on the highway. I aim to misbehave, 'cause I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning.
Okay, so I've got the power cable for the radar run through the boat, through the conduit, the tubing that I showed you before. So it is now run through, and I've got it all hooked up to this big cable, which is a big antenna, an old antenna cable off the old SSB radio that you see up on my nav station. The SSB radio is now defunct. We haven't used it in a long time. I mean, it still functions, but I just don't use it anymore. So we're replacing that with all new gear. So I cut the cable because we didn't need it inside the conduit. We needed more room for the new cables inside the conduit. And I pulled it through to this, and now I'm just going to use this as a big fish tape to pull up the new wires. So, because I need to get these wires up into the back, and they kind of go through a small area in the back. It's very tight to get through, so I even have my doubts if this is going to go through like this easily, but we're going to find out in a minute here. But this is our fish line. The first cable is our first RayNet data cable. Then we've got our C-Talk backbone cable, it's tied in there, and then the second RayNet data cable. So all three of those hooked up, and the power cable for the radar, because we have a breaker on the main fuse panel here, the main breaker panel for radar. So this is where the connection for power terminal is going to come, so that it can be turned off whenever we're not using it, independent of the rest of the system.
Is the white, no?
It's the white cable, that's right. So white cable is radar power, black with blue is the RayMarine C-Talk cable, and the two black ones are the RayNet high-speed data cables for and that's for the chart plotters that are going to go in here to replace what's there now.
Okay.
So now we need to open up this back panel where the radios are, because if you've seen my panel, you know this has been like this for a long time. I built all of this when I first bought the boat and moved on board, and that was, well, next month, May, is going to make 16 years. So 16 years ago I built all this, and it's worked fine. It's been functioning great, but there's a lot of dead areas on it that, you know, we've taken out gear that died over the years, and I replaced with different stuff. Even just like, you know, we put in this TV on the mount here, but you can see back here, this is where the old chart plotter used to be, in behind here. This is an old Sony stereo system with Sirius satellite hooked up, but haven't used that again in 10 years because now everybody uses their phone on a Bluetooth to the speaker in the boat. So that's all defunct. The old GPS system is defunct. All that's been taken out and not used for years now. So that whole panel is going to get replaced, as is this one over here. So this one over here is main communications, VHF, single sideband. This is the old CTEL system, because back when I first bought the boat, I installed a satellite system so that when we were crossing oceans back then, because we were going back and forth between Canada and the Caribbean every single year via Bermuda and New York City. So when we were at sea, we could use the CTEL system for uploading pictures, blogs, everything we wanted to from the middle of the ocean. It worked good. But unfortunately, after about 2, maybe 3 years, all the Globalstar satellites started falling out of the sky, literally. So the whole system got worse and worse until it no longer just functioned, and I got rid of it a long time ago. Just the faceplate is still here as a cosmetic. So that's going to come out. Single sideband's coming out. VHF radio's coming out. All that's going to be replaced with new gear. So right now I need to get in behind this panel because the antenna that we're using as the fish tape is actually hooked up to the single sideband radio. So I just got one last screw to pull out here. Okay. And here we go. And as you can see, we got lots of storage space back in here. This is a divider I put in, already removed, and now there is our transceiver for the single sideband radio. That's this device back here on the inner wall. All the other cables you can see are still here for the VHF and everything. Clean off this shelf a little bit, but it's this cable right here that we're going to need. So I'm going to disconnect it. And like I said, the single sideband still functions, but we don't use it anymore, so we're probably just going to pull it out and get rid of it, sell it to somebody. When I pull on this, you look down here and you see that this wire moves.
Okay.
So I pull on this and up goes that one.
Oh, perfect.
So Let's see what happens as we try and bring it up. Hey, all right, we got it. Perfecto. All right, so now we have our new wires in the nav station. So basically this white wire is going to go directly to this radar fuse or breaker right here. So that's what we're going to hook up next so that we can power up the radar for our test. The two RayNet cables are just going to switch over to this side. That's where the chart plotters are going to go. And the backbone CTOC cable is going to go to a splitter right here, and it'll be a 5-way splitter with another splitter or another backbone cable run from the splitter over to that side. So we're going to have a CTOC connection point on this side and on that side. Basically that is what's going to link our communication side with our chart plotting, radar, sonar, all of that. So it's all going to be linked together so everything communicates through the CTOC backbone. So very cool. So one step further. Now we just need to disconnect all the tape from our fish wire, and then we can get rid of our old antenna cable and one less big wire on the boat. Removed a lot of weight of wire off the boat, I can tell you that. I know I don't show you guys everything we remove, but yeah, we've been removing a lot of old stuff as we replace it with new. Okay, so as you can see, I have the white wire run around, which is the power cable for the radar now. It's come in through the side after we brought it up through the nav station. Comes around the back here, and I've got it run straight into where the secondary, where the breaker is for the radar. So if you look here, you can see I've got the ground wire comes straight down to the negative bus at the terminal there. And the positive wire goes straight down into here to the output terminal of the breaker, which right there. And as you can see here, that is in fact the second breaker from the end. So if we flip the panel up now and have a look, you can see second breaker from the end is radar. So we're going to turn that on. And now all that's left to do is go and turn it on, and hopefully it works. Let's pull this off and power up. Okay, let that warm up. It's going to have to gather its position, and then we can log in and see if it's working. Okay, so it's waiting for satellite fix for the chart plotter, but meantime we can still engage the radar. Alright, it's picking it up. It's Quantum 2 Doppler, model number, on standby. Turn it off or transmit. So let's hit transmit. Oh, it's even showing us our depth on the radar. That's cool. There we are. Alright, we've got radar. Look at all these targets out here. So we are in the anchorage. We'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, look, you can see the shape of the... That's the harbor that we're inside of right here. These are all the boats in the anchorage. And this is the mountains behind us, that ridge line across the top of the hills there on the island. So let's zoom back in. So right now we're just looking at stuff close in, see what we got. Alright. We got our range markers at 3/8 of a mile. So each ring is 3/8 of a mile on the way out. It's even showing us the compass as we're rotating, so what direction we're at. And if we zoom in again, okay, so you can see that right there, the big one, obviously is Cotton Key. You can see the island right there. So that's Cotton Key, as it appears right here. Next to that, this other big one, that's the group of 3 boats. And you can almost tell that there's individual boats right there. But that's the 3 boats that you see tied up there, the government boats. So we got them on display. And then if you look in front of us, so just up to the front of us, you can see that first sailboat right there. He's right on our bow. So you come down here, and there he is right there. So you can see him perfectly, and all the other boats that are ahead of him, and the other ones beside. These are all the individual boats right there that you see as you come back. There's the other sailboat. We got this guy right beside us, the other guy right beside him, the fishing boat right there. And they are all appearing individually right where they're supposed to be, right there. So that, my friends, perfecto. So I'm very happy to see that we're up and running, we are working. Now we've got a lot of features to test and everything, but that's going to be a separate video because this is just about installing it, getting it up and running, and making sure obviously that it works. But now if we go back to the home panel, we've got all the different combinations if we want. See, we got our GPSs locked in now, so we can switch over to chart plotter and radar mix, and we can have both of them. And not only that, look at that, the radar is overlaying on the chart plotter. So we've got our same radar display here that's showing us all the boats in the anchorage, and over here it's just lining up and showing us how it relates or correlates to the chart that's in the background. So everything is working, so that's very cool. So we're back to radar. If we push on the settings button here, we can see we got our transmit, our Doppler, adjust sensitivity, targets, alarms, harbor or coastal. You can set it up automatically for all the different gain level compositions that they've already set up at the factory for offshore, weather, coastal, or harbor. Right now we've got it on harbor because we're in here. And look, you can just see there's a boat right there is turned green and another one that's turned red. That means that that green target is moving away from us, the red target is moving towards us. That's kind of the effect of the Doppler. Its ability to sense targets, track their motion, and tell you what their motion is in relation to yours. If it's a contradictory motion to yours, like there might be a conflict in the future, it turns it red, because that means that the target is coming towards you. If it is effectively leaving your area and getting further away from you, then you get green targets like you see here. So amazing, everything is working. Everything is working. Love to see that. Okay, perfect. Well, that's it for today. So we're going to leave it at that, but we can schedule another episode to come back and go through all the features, you know, as we get into more detail with the chart plotter, the multifunction display, and you know, now we've got sonar, we've got Doppler radar, and we've got chart plotter functions, in addition to all of our other gauges that are repeating on here for wind and depth and all of the rest of it. So we'll get into how to run all of that in a next episode and leave it at that. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope we all learned something, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. So cheers, salute, thanks for watching, and over and out. Hey Tiki, is that funny? Alright, let's pull this off and power up. Okay, let that warm up. It's going to have to gather its position, and then we can log in and see if it's working. Tiki's narrating for us now. That's what I sound like to Tiki. But this is the second breaker from the end, so if we come back and flip the panel up, you can look here and see that it is and you can see this is the second breaker in from the end. So if we come back and flip the panel up, we look down here and second breaker from the end is right there, radar. So we turn that on. What is your f***ing issue?
I'm just having a